Welcome back. Frida is absolutely amazing. We know this all right now. But the thing we do not know right now is how to actively call a method. And this is something we want to find out in this section. We have seen how we can override existing methods, but till now we have to wait until this method gets triggered. So until the user hits a button or this certain event occurs. And this is something we do not want to have. We are hackers and we want to have full control. We want to have the ability to actively call a method if this one doesn't get called soon enough for us. For example, to reach the next level or other stuff. Let's find out how we can do this in this video over here. Therefore, I have prepared an own application. I mean, this one looks absolutely amazing, but not that amazing on the smartphone anymore. So the resolution isn't that nice. And this application is serving just one purpose: learning how we can actively call a method. So if you take a look at this application, it's regarding to our SpacePeng app in bad, I guess. All right. So here we can see we are having different objects. For example, an alien object and also a player object. The player object has bound some lives to it. So this is an instance field. And we also got a static value over here, the level. So these are most of the things you encounter in an application, I guess up to 90% and more. And if you know how to deal with this one over here, we learn the last percent at the end of this course. Alrighty? So therefore, let's have a look in this application and let's see how we can actively trigger a method. Okay, so here we are back at the Ubuntu VM and I have attached this amazing application into the section over here. Of course, I have already downloaded it and it's named Frida Funk. This one over here. Let's get back our smartphone screen. And there we go. And now let's install this application. All right. With the icon, I mean, okay, that's maybe not that nice, but the layout over here, it's okay, I would say. So here we can see we are having lives 5, we've got level 1, and we've got these two objects which are not being realized as objects. If you now click on the player icon, there's no fancy shot, but it assumes that the player got hit. So we lose a life every time we hit the player. Let's see. There we go. If we're having 0 lives, then the game is over. And in this level over here, we cannot reach the next level. So this is a really hacking application where we need to get advantage out of our hacking skills. Okay, therefore, let's have a look into this application and reverse engineer this real quick. Let's open this. There we have it. And then within downloads, Frida Funk, we put this into a new directory. So this one here is Frida Funk. I mean, if I look at this, we have already played a lot with these applications, which is super amazing. So here we have this one. And let's open this with JDX GUI. Here we have it decompiled. And let's have a quick look into the Android manifest. Let's see. So no permissions. And we only have one activity. So far, nothing fancy in there. Let's have a look into the code. Com app hacking Frida Funk. Here we are having the main activity, which is also our launch activity. And let's see what's inside here. So we are having an in static int level. This one is a static variable. All right. And then we've got a bunch of layout stuff. Also here, this is all layout stuff until this line. Here we are creating a new player object, here we are creating a new alien object, and here we are reaching the next level. So if you take a look into this application, it sticks to level 1. And the reason for this is I do not update the UI regarding to the level right now. Hacking the UI with Frida is something I would like to put in a separate video, because I do not want to make this over here more complex than it is. And it's also, it's a topic alone on itself. Therefore, the UI does not get updated, but we will see in the function over here, we get printed out the actual level state in the debug output of the console. So here we can observe if this method has been called. Okay, this one over here is also a static method, next level. Here we are having something player collision, and this one, let's see. This one is decreasing our player life, and it makes the decision if the game is over or not. Now, this one over here, this is a class method. So within the player class, let's see. Within the player class, we have two methods, increase life and decrease life. Increase life, by the way, I guess it's never called in this whole application. Therefore, we have this text. And this is impossible. This method does not get called anywhere in this code. Okay, so the difference between a class and a static method is the following. A class method needs an object. So we can only call this method increase life on an existing object. If we go back, here we can see we are creating a new player object, this one over here, and then we can call this method. A static method doesn't require an object. We can simply call a static method by appending the class name and then .method name. A static method is not bound to an object. So therefore the static method doesn't need an object. If we take a look into our next level, this one here is public static void next level. And we can see we are not creating any object in here. We are just calling this function. All right. Class methods, like this one over here, player, increase and decrease life, are bound to an object. Also for the alien, by the way. Here we're having the alien class. And this one even doesn't have a method. This one is only the constructor of this alien. And this one is setting up the layout of this alien. So this one gets printed on the screen. So in case if you would have here a method, then this would be also a class method and need to be bound to an object. And then we've got the static methods, which can be simply called by appending the class name .method name. All right. Therefore, we start with the easy one. Let's try to call the next level method over here. If you take a look into the ADB output, ADB logcat, let's see. So this one here is being called. So there should be an output like current level equal. Let's grab for this. So ADB logcat grab -i current level is. And then we can see system out current level is equal to. So the next level, this function has been called within the onCreate method. And this one has increased this value over here, this public static int level 1. We can see this over here. So onCreate calls next level and next level increases this value by 1. All right, and it also prints it out over here. This method is not being called anymore, so that's the only place. Therefore, we cannot go higher than level 2 on this point, unless we are hackers. So let's find out how we can call a method. Okay, so we get back our Visual Studio Code editor, and then let's clean this up a little bit. So then we are also starting the Frida server right now, because otherwise I would forget this later on. Data local temp. Let's see if Frida is already running. Okay, no, it's not. Therefore, let's start it. All right, Frida is running in the background of this one. We're creating here a new file. And we save this directly into the application directory. Not this one over here, it's within Frida func. Okay, so static method call .js. Calling a static method is super easy. The things we need to do is simply getting a class reference and then calling the method we want to call. That's all. Let's see. First, we need to tell Frida to attach to this Java virtual machine. Java.perform. Then we are providing our anonymous function. Okay, and now we need to get a class reference. Let's put this up on the right and this one on the left. Okay, the class reference is, let's see. I mean, we are here within the main activity class and this one is holding this method. So if you would call this method in Java, in this Java code over here, it would look like this. Main activity dot next level. This is how we can call a static method. We do not have to create a new player object or a main activity object. We can simply use the class name and then the method name. Therefore, I named this class reference simply just main act. So main act. This is our class reference in java.use. And now we're getting this reference to the activity class. This one is within com app hacking Frida func and then .main activity. All right, now let's simply call this method. So we are having a reference, and it's exactly the same like we would do this in Java. So main act, this is now our class reference. And then we are having this method next level. And that's it. And this is how we can call a method in Frida, a static method. Regarding to class methods, like we have it here, it's a little bit more complicated, but we will do this in a few moments. Let's first figure out if this one really works. So we are connecting to this process of Frida-u, and the package name is also com-appacking Frida func. It's not this one over here. We can find this in the Android manifest XML, but I have named it the same, I guess. Yes, so that's the package name. Okay, and then let's also provide, or not provide, our script. Let's do it differently. We use the command line over here to invoke it. So now we are connected to this process. And there we go. And now let's see if this code one over here works. We do not know right now because the UI is not updating. And let's take the ADB logcat and figure out if this one worked. ADB logcat and grep -i. Let's see, what was the system output? The system output was current level is. All right, so we're searching for current level is. And I'm providing the -i because this is ignore case sensitive. If this one is lowercase or uppercase, it will be ignored. And here we can see current level is now 3. So we have increased this level, so we have actively called this method. Let's figure out if this is really the case. Let's call it once again. All right, nice, it's working. So we are actively calling this method and we are increasing the level over and over again. By the way, one nice trick I would like to show you here is we do not have to use this whole body. We can also apply a function name to this one and then also, only calling this function. Let me show you this real quick. So we can apply a new function, for example, increase level. And then we can put this whole body in there, in this one. All right, and now if we take this whole function into this one, we can now use this function in Frida to call this. So instead of putting all the stuff inside here, we are now having a function, increase level. There's also this IntelliJ already here. And now if we're using this, we can see this one is now calling this body. This is a little bit more easy to use here. Okay, freaking nice. Maybe let's make some comments that it's easier to follow what happened here. And this one over here, this is a function name for Frida. And this one over here is getting the class reference of the static method class. And this one over here is calling this static method. All right, and this is how we can actively call a static method. Awesome. So let's repeat this real quick on the slides that we know which steps we need to take to call a static method. I mean, in this case, it's not that much, but nevertheless, let's do this real quick. All right, so here we are back on the slides. If we are having a static method like this one over here, then we can see the steps we need to take are the following. We need to get a reference to the class. And then all we need to do is we need to call the static method in the following way, class.methodName. So here we can see we are just getting the reference to the main activity class over here, and then we can call this next level method over here, if it is a static method. Alrighty? Okay. Now let's have a look into class methods. Why is it not that easy there? Let's figure this out. Okay, so let's close this one over here. And this one. So now let's see how we can call a class method. And let's open this one once again. Which class method do we want to call? Within the player, let's see. This one, increase life. And this one sounds a perfect method to call right now, because this one increases our player lives. And we also get this debug output if this one has been really called. Alrighty, let's see. If we take the same approach, maybe let's put this on the right. I'm making a new file for this one in JavaScript. we right now start from the beginning. So therefore, java.perform our anonymous function. And let's see. Now we want to call this method. So now let's simply do the same approach like we have seen this on the static method. So we can take our player reference, java.use, com appacking freedafunc.player. And now let's simply try to call this method increaseLife on our player reference. Let's see if this one works. I mean, it might not be the case because, yeah, I have announced it already in this way, but let's see what's the error of this. So frida-u, we are attaching to this process, and there we go. IncreaseLife cannot call instance method without an instance. This was exactly the case I have talked about in the last video. So we cannot call an instance method without having an instance. If we go back into this one, these class methods are bound to an instance. If we want to call this, we have to create a new instance. This one over here. Here we are creating a new player instance, and then we can call these player classes. So here we are calling decreaseLife. Let's see. If we hit the, or let's do it here. If we hit the player, then we can see, okay, decreaseLife gets called. So now's the question, how can we now actively call a class method? The solution for this one is we have to create a new instance of this. We could also use this existing object, this one over here. But this is something we will learn in a separate chapter, because working with existing objects which are already in the memory is a little bit different from the approach we are doing here. And therefore, we will create a new instance over here and then call this method. And afterwards, we will learn how to do it on an existing ones. All right? Okay. So let's see how we can create a new instance. And this one, I mean, it's not really hard. And this time, okay, Frida is unfortunately not providing us with the syntax, but I mean, Frida also doesn't know what's the case for us right now. Therefore, let's see how we can create a new object. Okay, so here we have it now side by side. Let's also open this one over here. All right. So the first thing I like to do is renaming this one, because this one is a player class reference. We need to be a little bit more precise on this one right now. Okay. Now we need to create a new variable, and this time this one is a player instance. So this will be our object. So within the Java code we would write following. We would write player equals new player. And this would be the Java code. So what we're doing right now is we're getting this player reference, and now we are having this player instance, this one. And now we also need to apply this equal sign, and then we are having this new operator here. And this is creating a new object, and it's exactly the same in Frida. So what we're doing here is we are getting the class reference dot, and then we tell dot new. So this is now creating a new instance out of this class, this part over here. This is exactly what this one here is in Frida. Then we are having this player reference over here. So sorry for this highlighting. Let's keep the mouse on the right. So here we are having this player reference right now, and this is our player instance. On this player instance, we can now call this method. So if we get rid of this one over here, then we can now call this method in the following way. Player instance dot, and simply use the method increaseLife. Also take care about the uppercase L. These needs to match this function name over here. And this is how we can call a class method. And this time we are creating a new object, and this object will be used to call this method. So this one over here is exactly the same in the Java code. If we go into this one, and here we can see this one. Here we are creating a new player object, and then after creating this player object, we can call these methods decreaseLife or increaseLife. All right, so let's see if this one works. We save this file into class method player. increase life. Okay, that's I guess this name summarizes all of this. All right, let's try if this one works, and then we also add some comments inside here. So we are taking this into this Frida terminal, and then let's see, I hit enter. It's not a function increase life. Yes, because I have made a typo there. I already mentioned it needs to be exactly the same name. There we go. Okay, we do not get any error. And let's take a look at the smartphone over here. So it seems like nothing has changed so far. And let's repeat this. And maybe let's also put this on the left. There we go. It doesn't seem to change anything. And let's have a look at the ADB logcat output. ADB logcat, and then we are grabbing for, let's see, within the player class, we are grabbing for this is impossible because we have called this method now multiple times. And this should also increase our player lives. So let's see if this one is inside the ADB logcat. Grab -I impossible. Oh, that's interesting. Here we have it. This is impossible. This method does not get called anywhere in this code. So let's see if we are actively calling this method. Yes. So here we can see we are now calling this player method. So we are increasing the lives, which is super amazing, right? Well, there's a little bit of a problem to this one. But before we dive into this one, let's have a look back into the Java code. So within the Java code, we can see we are also having some statement in the constructor of this player. And this means if we are creating a new instance, then also this one over here should appear in our ADB logcat output. Because here we are creating a new object. Let's see if this is the case. So let's get the ADB logcat. I'm opening this new over here. Okay, now let's call this once again. That's not me right now. This is a smartphone event. In 3, 2, 1, let's see. A new player object has been created. Nice. This is impossible. Player lives increased to 6. All right, this means if we are now hitting this function multiple times, the player lives over here should increase until we have infinitive lives, right? Let's see. Still 6, 6. Okay, why is this one now not increasing anymore? So this is something we will figure out on the graphic tablet. Let's switch over to this one. All right, before we get back to our graphic tablet, let's fix our comments first. This is something I have promised to you. So let's see what we have done so far. Here we're getting a reference of this player class. A reference of the player class. In the next line, and this one over here, we are generating a new object or a new instance out of this player class. So I'm creating a new instance, which means this one is exactly this one over here. Player equals new player. And then we are simply calling the instance method. Calling the instance method increase life. All right. So now we have fixed our code regarding to the comments, and now let's see why the lives of this player over here or the newly generated player are not being increased. If we use the script, we can see, okay, increasing player lives to 6, that's good. But if we hit it once again, we do not have 7, we still have 6. And if we repeat this over and over again, we stuck at 6 life. So why is this the reason? Let's find this now out on the graphic tablet. Okay, back at the graphic tablet, let's see. Here we are creating or we are getting a reference of this player class. This one over here. Okay, this is our player class reference. Then we are creating a new object at this point. So in this line, we are creating a new object. And this is then our instance over here. And then we are calling the instance method over here, increase life. And we can see this over here. Now's the question, why is this not increasing? And the reason for this is in this line over here. What this one here does is the following. And this one over here, this is a player object. Player object. And this player object has 5 lives. And this one over here. So these are the lives of this player object. Now, if we are using this new operator over here, we are creating a new object, a new instance. And this means the following. Every time we call this line over here, we are creating a newly player object over here. So this one is our new player object. And this one again has lives equals set to 5. Now we are calling this method increase life. And this will increase our lives by 1. And this is the output we have seen in the logcat over here. Let's do this once again. Here we have our newly generated 6 lives. Alright, now let's do this once again. Now we have this player object over here. And we are running the script once again. So here I'm executing it. And here we can see player lives still 6, because the following is now happening once again. At this point over here, we are creating a new object. And this one over here. And this player object once again has lives set to 5. Then we are increasing these lives by +1. And we are having 6 lives. This means we are now having 3 player objects in memory. So this looks like the following right now. Let me clean this real quick and then let's have a look how this looks in memory. Okay, so here we are back again. And this one over here, this is now the application memory. The memory already has 1 player object. This has been created in the main activity, and this is this one over here. And now every time we call this new operator here, sorry, wrong color, still wrong color, there we go. Every time we call this new operator, we are creating a new player object. And this is the reason why these lives over here are not being increased, because these lives are bound to this player object, this existing player object, which is this one in memory. We will learn in the next section how to deal with existing objects. So there we will learn how to scan this memory, identifying this player object, and then increasing these lives to over 9,000. 9,005, for example. Alrighty? Okay, freaking awesome. Let's do a quick recap on the slides that we know what happened right now. Okay, so here we are back on the slides. So we have seen we've got this class method increase life, and this one over here. And if you want to call a class method, we have to do the following steps. We have to get a reference to the class. Then we have to create a new instance of this class, and then we can call the method on that instance. It looks like as follows. We are getting a new player class reference, and then we are creating a new player instance variable over here. And this instance variable will be now created out of this class reference and the new operator. So by calling the class reference $new, we are now creating a new instance. By having this new instance, we can then simply call this method by having the instance name dot the method name. And on the right, we can see the ADB logcat output over here. So system out player lives increasing, lives now equals 6. Alright, and this is also a good point to finish this video right now. So in the next section, we have our second big topic. This one over here was about hooking and manipulating classes. In the next one, we will learn how to deal with instances and existing objects. And the third part is regarding to hooking or manipulating native development kit functions, so NDKs. Therefore, I'm looking forward to see you in the next big section. See you there.